Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and yes, top 10 worst candles from Bath & Body Works 2024, here we go. So the stipulation for this is, it's not so much worst, I just put worst because it's the easiest way to describe this type of video, and it's the opposite of best, which is the video that I just did. It's more so the most disappointing, so it's kind of like the throw wasn't there, or the fragrance didn't live up to my expectations, or stuff like that, because they don't really, for the most part, put truly offensive or rancid. For the most part, there's always exceptions. They don't usually put rancid or offensive candles, unless it's a mistake like the pumpkin pecan waffles jalapeno situation. But in any case, you know what I'm talking about once I get into it, and so without further ado, let us get right into it. It was not very hard to find 10 candles that were the most disappointing, because you guys know I'm pretty critical when it comes to reviewing. So while it was hard to even round up 8 best ones, 10 was no sweat. So let us get into it. Number 10 is not even in my possession because it was that bad, because I returned it to the store. And it is Calypso Clementine, which was their single fragrance launch, and I think I actually reviewed it 2023 because it was right at the end of December when I obtained it. And single fragrance launches usually for them are pretty juicy. I mean, there's sometimes where it's just very redundant or duplicate. But Calypso Clementine, I felt had absolutely no business being a single fragrance launch. It was just so incredibly bland and boring. It was just this dirty clementine, dirty orange fragrance that wasn't all that great. And so I don't know, I just felt it didn't really deserve to be a body care single fragrance launch. And then I can give it a pass if it's not necessarily my cup of tea. But what was the further nail in the coffin was that when I went to burn it, it was so incredibly weak and unscented that I actually returned it. And I'm somebody who actually kind of collects the body care single fragrance launch candles because they just seem so juicy and awesome for some reason. But that was one that I was just this is so unscented. I don't even want this in my collection anymore, so I returned it. So number 10 on our list was Calypso Clementine. Number 9, and this pains me, I was do I even want to put this in here? But I just kind of have to, and it's Bookloft. So I think this was actually hugely popular because it's coming out both in hand soap and room spray this coming spring, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was also showing up in candle too. I can't recall off the top of my head, but yes. And so the fragrance is beautiful, but this is one of those where the throw on it is so disappointing because I wish it was much stronger. But it goes to show you that I think even the low throw candles, Hello, Vanilla Bean, Noel, even the low throw candles, if the candle community thinks it's a low throw, that doesn't necessarily mean that the mass appeal community's not going to be fine with it, because they don't burn candles as avidly as we do. And so I think that was a case of where for us it might have been weak, but it was probably strong enough to be a top seller for the non-candle community crowd. But we had a Bookloft here. Let's see, what were the notes on this one? This was the one that it was about cozying up under a warm blanket. But then this one says it's crisp bergamot woods in a warm blanket, and then your favorite book. And so I had the repeat packaging. And the thing was, I remember looking all over the place for this during the spring SAS, and when I moved, I found some stores that were just absolutely loaded with candles. It was the entire spring season and summer season was just available for SAS at the end, and it was as if they still had all the inventory left. And so I actually found heaps of Bookloft, and I bought them because I was I don't know, there was one single burn that I remember that smelled great, and I could actually smell it for once in a smaller bedroom area. But then I kept burning it. I was I don't know, I really just don't get anything on this. And so I bought the new version hoping maybe the throw would be improved, but that was not the case. It was still as light and unscented as ever. And it's a beautiful fragrance, but the throw on it is just so abysmal that I was I have to put it in here, because once again, it's more so the most disappointing candles, the most heartbreaking ones are the ones that make it into this list. And so for that reason, Bookloft was in there. It's this sort of nuzzly, cozy, floral, woodsy fragrance that kind of evokes a fantasy, almost a feminine, floral, pretty version of turning old pages or something in a book. But it's beautiful. It's a great fantasy, fine fragrance version or rendition of I guess what a book might smell like. It's beautiful, but the throw just leaves a lot to be desired. So that was number 9 right there. Number 8 is just kind of the collection as a whole rather than any specific candle. But, well, it's this, the Asian Heritage Collection, specifically these 2 candles. But the candles perform fine. It's more so the deceptive marketing that was annoying. So I'm just going to bunch these 2 together as one entry. And so we have, of course, Roasted Sesame, which I was excited for because, hello, I'm Asian myself. And so I love, Asian cuisine and treats and stuff. And this was Roasted Sesame, Toasted Hazelnut, and Sweet Maple. Created by Linda Song. And then we had Cherry Blossom Soju as well, and I was like, ooh, I wonder if that's gonna be something fun and exciting. But as you guys have maybe recalled from my previous video, these candles were pretty much just repackages of existing fragrances, but with new names on it. And what's even more insult to injury is that they were existing fragrances under totally different marketing and totally different like regions of the world. And now they're like all of a sudden like Korean Asian treats or whatever, and it just seemed like a real slap in the face. And so, especially so with the roasted sesame, because this, like, I still think is just pumpkin peanut brittle, and there's like so much like evidence online about Linda Song going on Facebook, on the Bath & Body Works Facebook page, saying that pumpkin peanut brittle originally came in as a sesame fragrance or something in the when they make the fragrances at the fragrance houses and the perfumeries and everything. And so like, if that's not evidence enough that if pumpkin peanut brittle originally came in as sesame and then lo and behold we get it as roasted sesame, that seems so incredibly like suspicious that it probably is indeed the same fragrance oil or whatever it is. But in any case, yeah, I mean, but pumpkin peanut brittle is an amazing, beautiful fragrance, and this is very strong as well. So it's kind of like, I don't want to discount the fragrance alone. It's more so the marketing and the sort of twisting of the story and the mood that really kind of pisses me off, and that's why this one makes it into the list. So we have roasted sesame, annoying because this is pretty much just pumpkin peanut brittle, and then cherry blossom soju, which smells literally just like the Tokyo Petals fragrance, which was a Tokyo fragrance, but now it's supposed to be a Korean soju one. So it's, once again, it's like the stretching of the marketing that's really annoying, and so that's why I was like, I have to put this in the top like worst category for sure. So cherry blossom soju right there. So the throw on this was excellent, so that's why it's kind of like lower on the list, but it's caramelized lavender right here. This was just so disappointing, heartbreaking, because I was just really hoping for something that had a much stronger, amazing lavender presence. I love lavender, I love like floral gourmand fragrances, and so I was hoping it would be like heaps, like a 50-50 blend of both lavender and caramel in this one, but when you go to burn it, it just smells kind of like a burnt like roasty caramel. Like you can smell the lavender on cold, but when you go to burn it, it's just the caramel is so strong and overpowering that the lavender like uniqueness just completely dissipates, and so I get kind of annoyed by that. Fresh lavender, melted caramel, and a hint of vanilla, but it performs great. It's super strong, so if you're just looking for one of those like roasty, toasty caramel fragrances that we always get from Bath & Body Works, like a butterscotch or a salted caramel or toffee or whatever, then this like performs fine as that, but for a lavender entry, it just for me was quite disappointing, so that's why I wanted to put it in here. So caramelized lavender right there. Number 6 is Spooky Moontini right here, and that's what that looks like. Cute packaging. I love like that. It had almost like retro like Halloween stickers vibes to it. I actually really like the packaging on this. It was just super fun and playful. Mythical Berry Potion, Spooktacular Sponge Sugar, and Spellbinding Citrus. This is on here because it's disappointing because it was truly the only new fragrance. No, I take that back. Candy Apple Cauldron was new, and Wicked Vanilla Woods was not new, but the first time it was in 3 wicks. So it was between this and Candy Apple Cauldron. But in any case, like, the Halloween candles, like, it was one of the new ones, and so I was excited for it, and so I picked it up because I wanted one in this collection, and this was the new one that had this label style in it. But it was just another, it's disappointing because it's a Halloween fragrance that's just really not a Halloween fragrance. It's just another fruity candy fragrance. Yeah, this is just like a berry citrus, like sort of, you know, gummy worms, like candy fragrance, which I guess in a way, like Halloween, yeah, you consume candy, but I don't know, I want something a little bit more spooky and unique and just more like magical and mysterious. And this is really just some kind of any old generic like berry candy fragrance that you could find literally any time of the year. And the nail in the coffin for this one was that the throw on it was so incredibly light. I could barely smell it in the 3 or 4 times I burned it. Just truly not great. So this was just like really disappointing for a new Halloween entry, but it was a very generic berry fragrance that could be marketed for any time of the year, but 2 was also kind of weak and unscented. So Spooky Moontini, definitely on the list right here. Number 5, oh my god, I mean, this, the way this was named, like the joke, it just wrote itself. Gingham Unstoppable or Unscented, Unremarkable, Unsatisfying, any of those adjectives that you want to use with starting at it. Fresh neroli, sparkling water, and clean musk, and it surely smells like water because it smells like nothing. This is truly probably the most one of the most like unscented candles of the season. I burned it multiple times, and it's just like, for it to get a like gingham treatment of it being like a flanker of the very like, you know, signature gingham body care line and fragrance line, for it to be so unscented and unremarkable was just such a shame, because it's like, why did you waste such awesome like marketing and like flanker you know, action status for a candle that was so incredibly light and weak? I mean, I don't know. It just smells like this, it smells just like bland lime in rubber. And when you go to burn it, it's just like totally unscented. It was just truly terrible. Gingham Unstoppable right there. I mean, this could really go higher up in the list, but they were all kind of interchangeable at this point, to be honest. They were just all very disappointing. Number 4, oh my god, this was also heartbreaking too, was Lavender and Pine. And I mean, how gorgeous is this packaging? I actually initially bought 2 up front because it was an online early access, and I figured I would just love it, but I didn't. Freshly picked lavender, cedarwood bark, and frosted pine. And so this had come out as a test fragrance before, in that like, evergreen test collection with like the colored jars on there, but then we got it as a wallflower, and then because it was a wallflower, there was a single wick tester candle of it, and I owned that, and the wallflower was great, and the single wick tester I didn't really burn it too much, but it still smelled quite nice on cold. But I feel like this version is kind of like very diluted, and there's just not enough lavender in here. Which is very similar to caramelized lavender. It's like they put the name lavender in the title of the candle, but it never like goes through to deliver when you go to burn it. And this is really just such a very like small deviation from the Tree Farm fragrance that it just didn't have enough lavender in it to like really give it a punch that I was looking for, and not as juicy as the wallflower was, which I feel like did have a much stronger lavender presence to it. Yeah, just kind of bland, and it just smelled like just another generic Tree Farm type of fragrance, but just much lighter in throat as well. And because it was also so light, that's why it's definitely on this list as well. But yeah, just kind of disappointing, because I feel like a lavender and pine fragrance could have a lot of potential, but this just kind of fell flat. So lavender and pine right there. Number 3, we have the Emily in Paris Macaron Cloud. I mean, so annoying even trying to get this candle. I ordered it during the Emily in Paris online preview. When I ordered it, snowflakes and cashmere came in instead in my package. And then so I called to get a replacement to get the real one. But then the one I got was like shattered and broke. You can possibly see there's like cracking going all around here, and it like goes through the entirety of the glass, and the wax fell right out, so I re-jarred it. So I did burn this, and this one's annoying because the fragrance is so beautiful and divine on cold. It's like, what is it? Macaron Delight Parisian Spun Sugar and Pink Berries. It's basically a berry marshmallow cotton candy body care fragrance is what it is, and it smells beautiful and divine. But when you go to burn the candle, it's just like totally unscented. It's like quite a shame, and like I feel like there's a ton of reviews online saying how weak this was as well. That yeah, this one just like broke my heart, because the fragrance smells nice, but a lot of these fragrances just don't throw well when you go to burn them. It's just like those cotton candy fragrances are always really hard to get a strong hot throw on. So that was definitely a disappointing one. So Macaron Cloud right there. Number 2 is very similar to Macaron Cloud, and it is Daffodil Daydreams. I mean, truly the same reasons. Beautiful packaging, love the fragrance on cold, like just snatched concept and everything. There were hand soaps, like mini body care and stuff as well. Whipped marshmallow, pastel clouds, and sweet daffodil. I mean, it smells absolutely beautiful. Just so gorgeous. I would say this one's more floral than the Emily in Paris Macaron Cloud, but both have a very similar like whipped marshmallow cotton candy with berry fragrance with an edible floral undertone. This one just leans a little bit more floral than the Macaron Cloud does, and absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful, but this one like just soots like crazy, and for the amount of soot you get very, very, very minimal payoff from the fragrance throw. That is just so heartbreaking, because like if this threw well, I would have backed up another one, and it could have very much well been in my top 8 best rather than my worst if the throw was great, because I do love the fragrance on cold so much. Yeah, such a shame. So happy Easter, Daffodil Daydreams right there. And lastly, number 1 is Cherry Almond Shortbread. And I think this one's kind of disappointing is because it's a kind of a legacy fragrance. It's been out as a hand soap for many years, like even back in that Made with Love collection. Was that like 2014 or something? And it's been a really long time that this has been like on and off as a hand soap. And it kind of works as a hand soap, but it did not at all translate well into home fragrance, which is such a shame. Cherry Almond Shortbread, Vanilla Shortbread, Candied Almond, and Cherry. And it's like, Bath & Body Works knows how to make good bakery fragrances, but this one was just absolutely awful. I mean, so first of all, it does like the weird, like it has the thick rope-like wicks on it and it's soot, and it does the weird tarnish thing, but then it's like has that weird like tarnished growtiness where it starts becoming like burnt and just plasticky and like Play-Doh-y and waxy and cheap smelling, and it's just awful. And then on top of that, so in hand soap, there is a like inedible quality to the fragrance, which sometimes with Bath & Body Works, their almond fragrance note can sometimes lead in a perfumey, almost like sandalwood undertone feel to their almond fragrances, and that is very much translated in this. In hand soap, it's like fine and not like jarring or bad because it's like kind of body care adjacent where you're using it and applying it on your hands. So having a slight perfumey and edible quality to the fragrance isn't terrible. But when it translates into home fragrance, I don't know. I just kind of want something that says Cherry Almond Shortbread to be very like full-on gourmand without the inedible like weird sandalwood perfumey almond essence in there. And this does have that weirdness in there. It kind of smells like just stale like baby wipes or something. It's just gross. But then it like that weird inedible body care turns very singed and tarnished and burnt and grody that it just makes for a really nasty smelling candle when you go to burn it, and it's just nowhere near as scrumptious or delicious as a Cherry Almond Shortbread fragrance could or should be. And also just kind of weird that like why is there a piece of cherry pie on here rather than a shortbread? It makes you wonder if this was originally like some kind of cherry pie fragrance originally when they first designed it, and some last minute things made it turn into a shortbread fragrance. But I don't know, long story short, it did not translate well into home fragrance. It gets burnt and tarnished and just smells rancid and nasty now, and it's just like, ugh, disgusting. So Cherry Almond Shortbread right there. And that was it. So that was my top 10 worst or most disappointing Bath & Body Works candles from 2024. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which ones did you hate? Did you love any of these and actually enjoy them? You know, all the juiciness, leave it down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.